Welcome back to the Unhinged History podcast with your unhinged host, moi, Tani Caesar, with today's very, very special guest, Reb Maisel, aka Rebel, aka Goddess of Justice in our pantheon. If you follow me and you don't know Reb, which rock do you live under? Sorry, I love you all, but seriously, she is a bar-certified Californian lawyer by day and a funny, hilarious, witty TikToker by night, who also is a friend of mine. Even though we're cross hemispheres. Doesn't matter, because internet.
Across the world, and your spirit and soul and energy is so bright. I adore you. I've been a fan of you since I followed you. I am so honored to be on Unhinged History. You are stunning. You are beautiful. Wait, we're cheersing. 1, 2, 3, go.
To Unhinged Justice and History. Amen.
Amen.
Today's episode is about Cadaver Synod, who was in the Dark Ages. It was a pretty groundbreaking case because the Pope at the time broke ground to get his ass out of it because he was dead for 9 months. Put him on trial. Well, I mean, the alive Pope won. Shocker.
The reason why this crossover happened, okay, the reason why Reb Maisel and Tani, the history buff, my Joan the Arc, the reason why we're together here right now is because we and her are friends, okay, offline, online, like, thank God I was a fan first, like, tag me, like, period, I was a fan first. She DM'd me and was like, hey, so, like, went on a rabbit hole, you know, because she just does research on very, very epic and thorough research on extremely interesting, intriguing topics, right? She sent me a DM saying, hey, look at this case. It's like crazy. Like, they exhumed a pope's body, tied that body to a chair, and put him on trial.
And like full papacy law trial too.
Literally a whole, like, they did the whole situation. Like, I'm pretty sure they probably had his mother testify. They held his hand up. They put it on a Bible. They had like a ventriloquist. Like, the Catholic Church does not spare any expense. Like, say what you want about them. Say what you want about them, but they're stained glass, okay? Their churches are really high budget, and their trials are a scene. And
then at this point in history, it was further than that. Like, you look at it today, and you're like, girl, talk about 847 AD. It was a mess.
It was a mess and a half.
So it's 897 AD, the Dark Ages. Historians fight me. It is what it is. It was dark society at the time. The girls are fighting.
The girls are fighting. The girls are brawling. They're getting their licks in. They're getting their licks back. They're getting their licks up.
And when we say girls, we don't mean girls. We mean the popes.
Right.
So pretty much the real power in Rome at like the hands of the most noble families, they were all connected via the militia. And they'd basically become a feudal aristocracy. Mm-hmm. It's kind of giving, like, you know, Rothschilds, like, and whoever their are, Medici, same different time.
Family drama, like, never really changes. You know what I mean? Like, the 2023, like, child custody battles, you know what I mean? Like, the wars, the neighborly wars over property lines and whose dumb pool landscaping is crossing over into my pool landscaping. Copy and paste that to the dark ages, 897 AD, okay?
You know, like, take Game of Thrones, that very extensive series, and literally just throw it out the window because it's got nothing on real history.
Nothing.
Like, you think a fantasy novel was unhinged? Read a book.
Read a book. Oh, you mean that people were having relations with their siblings? Look at the Greeks. They thought relations with, right? Like, everyone's like, oh my God, they were so progressive. I mean, yeah, but also, like, terrifyingly, right? Like,
well, like the Habsburgs, right? The Habsburgs' jaw, their jaws were so deformed that the family tree was a wreath. It was a wreath.
Why have I never heard that? Have you said that before?
I don't know. The family tree was a wreath.
I'm writing that down with my liner because I need to use that on somebody in my clean drags playlist. I'm going to go search for a hate comment from some ugly some mother whose face looks like a kicked in biscuit. And I'm going to be like, yo, just because your family tree was a wreath doesn't mean you need to chat about it. Wow. Thank you so much. You did so much.
Perfect timing. Yeah, no, the Habsburgs were like so severely inbred that they all had like mental health, like I'm not talking like normal mental health issues. I'm talking like
events.
They had this thing called like mandible something or other where their jaw was like so far out that they couldn't close their mouth. And this iconic quote, like, because like at the time they were ruling Spain, like towards the end. So the inbreeding was like getting like really intense and they had epilepsy and like all this stuff. They couldn't close their mouth. And like he was in Spain and the Spanish noble goes, "Dear King, close your mouth. The flies in this country are absolutely insolent." But he couldn't.
Like, imagine being roasted to the house unintentionally like that. I honestly think that's the worst thing. Like, to me, right? Like, I have a Cindy Lou Who Knows. Like, I've known it since I was 5. Like, I was bullied for it, whatever. And now it's like adorable, cute. But then Taylor Momsen, like, my nose, like, you can see up my nostrils into my brain. Like, my nose is the Cindy Lou nose. Like, Taylor Momsen, thank you so much. Taylor Momsen had to wear a prosthetic and I just have to wear my face. Like, that's literally the of it all. And anytime anyone's like, oh my God, like, do you have like, I remember literally when like the trend was going around where you like would tape like your nose up and like do like whatever, like dumb little things when we were like kids, right? Whatever. Genuinely on God, someone was like, stared at me dead in the eyes and they were like, you don't even really have to use tape, do you? And I don't even think they were trying to be mean. I know that sounds insane, but like, I literally think they were just like observing and just speaking their immediate mind. And I was like, I have no rebuttal. That's about
so essentially the militia, the top dog families, power, money, it's the same.
Wait, I have a question for you. What is the militia? Like, who were they fighting for?
I don't know. They were just fighting people for power. The Holy Roman Empire was just acquiring land,
right?
Essentially. So the militia was just like the people that like did the acquiring, as far as I know. They were essentially the aristocracy of the time, you know, and the families hated each other, obviously. Naturally. Jealousy, intermixing, you know, let's marry this one after this one. So
the girls are fighting. The girls are fighting like you said, the girls are fighting. The girls are fucking fighting. Yeah.
And one aim of each party, essentially everyone wanted to be the Pope because the Pope was the top dog.
The research that I've done on this, the Pope was simply the Regina George of this era. And when I say the Pope, I mean it like as a concept. Like it changed. Okay, this Pope, quote unquote, with a capital P, he changed faces faster than a toupee in a hurricane. During this age, okay, you guys, it's called the Iron Age of the Papacy, which is a dumb word. So we're calling the Pap smear. The Pap smear, the Pap era. Popes were a dime a dozen. They were succeeding other popes again so fast. It was the turnover rate was like a Chili's restaurant in the middle of summer. Like that was not a stable position. People were pope for 8 days and then killed off. People were pope for a month, killed the off.
In like assassinating other popes.
Oh, and they're using you. And I also like what like baffles me as the like the legal side of this combo is I'm like, okay, like if you want to just like kill people over funsies, like just do it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like you can be a human rights bio any day of the week, like absolutely. But they were like, we still have morals, and so then they'd hold up trial, and I'm like, why even do the song and dance? Like literally, why do it? I literally just think they wanted to show off their like cute stained glass, like cute new motif in their new church. Like I literally just think they wanted people to come like have a house party, like literally for the trial. They were like, oh my God, come have hors d'oeuvres. You know what I mean? Like come look at how great my couch is, like dead ass. Because I'm like, why even have a trial when you're doing a coup d'etat? Whatever. So basically, in 94 years, you guys, to give you an emphasis, to give you like a sidetrack, to help you understand why this was the literal Pap era. In 94 years, from 872 AD to 965 AD, there were 24 popes. To give you context, by contrast, there were a total of only 9 popes in the entire 20th century. Okay?
Because they would like literally live.
They just happened to like have a pulse. Like they had good health care. Like who knows, right? Yeah. And in those 94 years, okay, in one of those 9-year periods between 896 AD and 904 AD, there were no less than 9 popes. Literally a pope a year. Like a pope a year. Like as if you're in a new class.
Like sometimes like they didn't even last 8 days, like you mentioned.
Didn't even last 8 days. And the reason why they weren't lasting is because the powerful families who were in power, who were vibing, who were the cunty Regina Georges, they dominated Rome at this time. And they basically had, like, they had so much influence and power, which you know more about, like so much influence and power that they were able to have people who were literally popes, okay? People who were like standing, sitting popes, popettes, popos, mostly popos. There were no women involved because, of course, like women don't have thoughts or feelings or opinions. Of course. Only popes. They had popes deposed, killed to advance their political ambitions, or just as vengeance for some action by the pope that offended them or inconvenienced their plans. Like literally, like people were being killed over inconveniences. Yeah. And yes, that just still happens today. But like you guys.
And to add to this, right, only 7 of those popes died in a violent way, right? So only 7 of those popes were killed, like by a knife or dagger or like in an overt like assassination attempt.
Yes, but 7 out of 24.
Yeah. So that I'm not a math guy. What's 24 minus 7? However many that is.
Like, I think it's like a pretty good number. Like, I don't know, but I'm with you. Like, it's not even that much. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like Wolfsbane ended up in his chalice.
What can you do
in his stained glass window? I don't know.
Right, and also it's like 70. Like as a defense attorney in that time, 872 AD. Like, let's just time teleport back. I'm like, no one knows what a germ is. Like, no one knows what a germ is. Like, people be dying. Like, people be dying at 24, and that's a long life. Like you know, like so 7 out of 24 feels like great odds. Like feels like great odds. Like, you know what I mean? Like 7 literally murdered violently in a violent, torturous, horrible, terrifying way out of 24 popes. Feels like a good shot. Like it feels like a good luck.
It does. It's apparently 7 is 1/4 of 24. So we're talking about 1/4.
Oh, I mean a quarter. Amazing.
Thank you,
beautiful.
Thank you, Matt.
Even smaller. Right. So yes. And 5 of those popes, okay, out of the 7 that she was talking about, funny laugh, were assassinated in office. Like the word assassinated was thrown around, okay, like a balloon at a party. Or they were either assassinated in office or deposed, quote unquote, deposed or murdered. Deposed. And of course, right, attorney me, I'm like, what the fuck is, you mean like they had a deposition? Like with the court reporter, like a deposition? No. Right. So the word deposed, when it comes to popes, because of course they created a new word and definition for themselves because they're super important and special. Right. So deposed, when it comes to popes being thrown the out, means that they were driven from office by force if they refused to resign. So anytime that throughout this we're like, oh yeah, he was deposed, like his ass was deposed, his brother was deposed, his dad was deposed, it doesn't mean that they were giving testimony in court, like for the court transcript, like, you know what I mean, like for like a Cudsey court transcript. No, it means that they were literally driven out of office and then probably murdered.
Yeah, 100%. And like 3/4 of the time in ways that couldn't be explained with the science of the day. Again, this is pre-Galileo period, so like we don't know about shit right now, you know what I'm saying? So we've got the downfall of Rome, which led into the Byzantine Empire, and then that led into this sort of like this Holy Roman Empire, which again had its downfall. And we're talking about the messy era, okay?
Messy.
So messy, economically, intellectually, culturally, like, you know, everyone was like
TMZ.com. I love that.
Everyone was indoctrinated with these weird ass things, which like led to like people being like, hang on, wait a minute. But that's where we're at in history. Everything's unraveling. Basically, the papacy in this period is just like corruption, immortality, mafia. It's the mafia. Let's be real.
Wait, yeah, the Catholic Church and anyone who's Catholic, don't yell at me. My dad's side.
You're talking about historical
Right. This isn't an opinion. This is fact. Like my whole dad's side is very Polish Catholic. Okay, like I'm a Polish gal, I'm a Polish girly. Okay, very, very, very Catholic. My dad's very Catholic. All that. My beautiful mama, she's non-Catholic, right? But she, of course, like fell in love, and she was like, I mean, I guess. And then the first day she walked in, she had never been in a Catholic church before. She walked into a massive Catholic church. 5 minutes in, she turned to my dad and said, "This is a cult. We're leaving." And they left. She literally goes, she was so appalled, like she was taken aback. She was like, "What's the message?" Like she was like, "What?" Like she was like, "What is this? I have to sit and stand." She dead, and I swear on my fucking life, Tanny, like my dad was like, period, had been a Catholic altar boy, right? From zero to jump, did the confirmation, all that. You think I was not raised Catholic. You want to know why? Because God as a woman. And she was like, "This shit's weird, I'm out." And he was like, word to your mother. And I went to Christian church my whole life, whatever. The first time I ever went to a Catholic mass was for like for a bit. Like my friend was like, "You want to come to mass with me?" I was like, "Sure." I'd never been. My dad is like, "Yeah, like crazy." Like that's my dad's side, right? You want to know what my mom's side is? My mom is not Mormon, but my mom is born and raised in Utah. You want to know what that triggers for everyone? Yeah. Oh, that's right. Do you want to know what my 23 and me said? Do you want to know what kind of
Brigham Young? Please
no. Not just Brigham Young. There's a museum. I am a direct descendant of a four great grandpa. Like it's not even like a second cousin. It's a mother grandpa. I swear on my life, there's a museum dedicated to my mother's maiden name, like to him, to my great whatever the grandpa, because he was like a surveyor. Okay, back in that time. So basically, every single city, county, whatever the west of Salt Lake City, Utah, his name, right, when like surveying a county, right, a town, his name is on the bottom of it because he surveyed that. He was paid in cash, okay? He was a rich white boy, rich guy privilege. He, of course, right? I was always curious, and this is such a sidebar, like bonus episode, but like Tanny, like I was always like, why do I love poetry? Like I write poetry. I'm so like in love with poetry.
Yeah, 100%.
And everyone in my family, it's not that like I think I'm like so different and weird.
No.
Yeah, my family just
why do I like this shit?
Yeah,
they're like it is what it is.
Right. Other people in my family are more into like more art, like you know what I mean, like paintings, art, whatever, or like different types of creative outlets. But I always was kind of like I'm very much a believer in like your interests and dedications have very much been passed down in some way, shape, or form, right? Someone you can find in your lineage was interested in the same shit you were interested in. And so of course, right? Because, you know, my mom, like for our stocking stuffer was like, "Here's a 23andMe." And I'm like, "Oh, I can tell you right now, I'm white. Look at me. Like I'm white as we colonized this. I'm a colonizer. I'm going to age like milk." Or like I am absolutely going to feel the karma that my ancestors put in motion, and honestly fair.
Anyway, back to the Catholics. So Joliet, he was the first pope to be assassinated. He was poisoned, but his poison, the poison didn't work fast enough, right? Because we assume that like that 3/4 of these popes were probably poisoned. I'm thinking like, well, Spain, there's a couple of other things that I don't think I can say.
Really?
But so then somebody had to quickly like hit his skull in with a hammer. So therefore, it was a, assassination. Next up, we've got Stephen the VIII. Did we say that? Stephen the VIII? 7th, and Leo the V.
5th.
Yep, great. They were imprisoned and strangled to death. Then we've got John the 10th, who was imprisoned and suffocated by being smothered with a pillow.
Wait, that's such a like
that's such a girly
I'm only timing you out just because I'm like, these are such intimate ways to die. Strangulation and smother with a pillow is so like, are we gonna kiss right now? Like I wonder who did it. Like I wonder who. Like,
have I read a couple of like smutty romance books where like maybe like an enemy is to lovers, like, and then he like maybe, I don't know.
So we have John the pillow, and then who's next? Who's
thinking the ninth?
Oh, yeah, beautiful. No, ninth is right.
I'm learning. Was in prison, horribly mutilated by having his eyes, nose, lips, tongue, and hands removed, and therefore he died of those injuries because germs and bacteria, and like also the trauma. And then the other two, Hadrian and John, the whatevers, they were rumored to be poisoned, I don't know how they were rumored to be poisoned when most of them probably were, but they probably died by being beaten to death by their wives' outrage. So,
get some flowers for the wives. They were like, he had a stroke. Meanwhile, he's literally like beaten to a pulp, bruises everywhere, blood everywhere. They're like, word, strokes are crazy. They were like, yeah, whatever. Like, what a swindle. Look, like, I don't support murder. I don't support absolutely any of that. But I do support women's hobbies. Like,
yeah, like, I mean,
what
these
do?
again, these popes were like, the turnover rate was like an Apple store. Like,
exactly.
it's, you know,
like Genius Bar. These women were like, oh,
yeah,
enough. They were like, enough. And imagine being married to someone who's allowed to call themselves like the most powerful person in the land, the Pope,
and like the body
insufferable. It's literally Ben Shapiro on roids. It's Elon Musk, but in a weird robe. I'd look at him and be like, yeah, you're the king.
Yeah, you're
like,
the representative.
Yeah, let's come into the bedroom. I have a candlestick that's really heavy. Wait, obsessed with that. What is that about? Are those?
No, I just was like, when you compared it to like Elon Musk, I was like, yeah. Imagine though that they genuinely believed that they were the representative of God on earth. It's like so important. It's just a very important.
Wait, I'm like kind of like obsessed. I'm kind of gooked and gagged. My sister has had me start saying the term gooked and gagged, like when I'm like shocked or surprised. Or like I didn't. She'll be like, I'll be like, do you like this outfit? And she'll be like, I'm gooked and gagged. Like I'm gooked and gagged.
Oh, we
like
got very
word.
Anywho, let's skedaddle down to which all sets the tone for, and Reb will take the floor. Am I a rapper?
A what? Are you a rapper?
What I love, okay, the legal side. I mean, right before, but also during, like the literal trial that we're talking about, the trial of a dead body, that was not only a dead body, but a dead body that had been in a crypt for 9 months, right? Like 9 months, and they were like, you know what?
And you know what? I had to Google this because I was like, okay, so what does that? Like, I really need to know, like, the environment. Like, what did the room smell like? What is a corpse that's 9 months old? What is that? And so I looked it up, obviously, right? So 8 to 10 days after death, you die, right?
Okay.
And your body turns from green to red. Like, your body goes red. There's all the swelling. There's the, like, rigor mortis and all
my
this
God,
shit.
period. They picked an album. We picked a album of Taylor Swift. I love that for us. Like,
fantastic, right? Then several weeks later, your nails and your teeth fall out, so you're toothless, right? 1 month after death, your body starts to liquefy. You heard that correct. So like it becomes liquid. It gets mushy.
right.
Okay. Now keep in mind that this Pope was 9 months post-mortem. I always said partum. Mortem.
Wait, the way Tanny, I swear on my life, I think that we have the same brain cell. And I mean this with the most like love in my heart. I've been on podcasts with people, like I like them, whatever, enjoy them. But you, dead ass, this entire time, every time I've had to say the words 9 months, I've been like, he could have built a baby. Like he could have been knocked up by that. That postnatal. Oh, like wow.
But
Wow.
the crux is, right, so that's only one. So after 1 month, that's only 30 days. Liquefaction is happening, right? Throughout, hair's going. I say skeletal.
If I'm wet in the afterlife, it's not because a man is around. I'll tell you that much. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be liquefied. Like that's fine. It's probably because a hot woman was in the.
That needs to go on a t-shirt. Oh my gosh, that was the funniest thing you've ever said. Okay.
You made me take vodka shots. Like, what do you think? Like I'm on a roll. Like.
Okay, but then
my mom this episode, she's gonna be like, turn it off.
Mom, just don't watch this, please.
Okay, come back.
So after 50 days, something called butyric fermentation happens. This acid starts forming, right? It smells absolutely intolerable, completely intolerable. So when old mate is being exhumed, he would have been, bits and pieces falling off. Some things were like damp falling off, probably during the trial, like I can imagine, like skin sort of just like, because he was put upright, right, and gravity, so it's like, that's right, I'm thinking. And the smell of that courtroom,
and imagine his teenage attorney, his advocate, a teenage deacon was required to stand like, well, at least I think they did like throw him a bone here. Okay. Basically, you guys, to recap, they were like, we're going to really go through the song and dance. And so they gave him a representative and he's like he was 17-year-old, right? He's a 17-year-old teeny bopper deacon. Like he probably passed out the goddamn wafers during mass, right? He's just like, I don't know why I'm here. Yeah. He was his quote unquote representative, the dead body's representative. But at the very least, I did learn that the corpse was propped up on a chair behind the advocate. So the advocate was at least allowed to have the smells be like I hope to God the advocate was like, can we get a fan blowing that way? Like, can we get a fan blowing the opposite?
And I just feel like he didn't get that.
I know,
I feel
absolutely.
like he didn't get that.
No. He
So like
didn't.
when the corpse had to like I don't know, put his hand up or do something, this poor little boy, bless his soul, had to like move this like 9-month decayed cadaver.
Yeah. And you would think, right? Everyone listening is probably like, okay, like, haha, they're like filling in the blanks. Like, obviously they wouldn't do that. They pulled this bitch out of the ground. They could have put, like, this is my thing, is I'm like, hey, you could have put his ass on trial without him there.
Without
like
pulling him out of the ground.
Like
100%.
next to his spirit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's there in spirit. Like, he's there in faith for sure. Like, he's definitely looking down from probably hell. Like, who knows? Like, I feel like not a lot of popes are like really that great of people. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just like, sorry, the Catholics, like, you can exit the chat, it's fine. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, bruh, like, why did you have to have the crust, the absolute PB&J crust of this old man? By the way, he was old. Let's establish that for everyone.
Yeah.
He was 30. Maybe he was in his younger years, like whatever. No, this motherfucker like Mitch McConnell. Oh,
Rasputin from Anastasia, you know, where he like, that's what I'm thinking. That's the vibe.
And yeah, without the bat. Without the bat.
That was kind of cute. I kind of liked him.
Fruit bat. Yeah, right. Instead of a fruit bat, he had a 17-year-old deacon without a nose plug who literally was like, I'm going to pass out. It smells so bad in here. Like, okay.
Like, I would be, And like, you're probably thinking like, well, why did the Pope Stephen give a Why?
Amazing. I'm so glad that you asked that, Tanny. Oh my God. Did you like, there's no way you knew. The reason why, okay, and mind you, right, more context. The Pope that was being propped up like Weekend at Bernie's, okay, his name was it's the Latin word, which is actually such a pun. This sounds like a bad SNL skit, and I promise to God, like Teddy said, history is crazier than anything anyone could write up. Okay, anyone can write up, right? So this mother's name was, what was his name? Formosus.
Yeah,
Formosus. Okay.
Formosus. I don't know if that's it.
Formosus. And it is quite literally the Latin word for handsome or good looking, which like maybe in his best days, right? He was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be Pope. I'm going to put a little sprinkle on it. Because apparently, you guys, apparently when you're Pope, you can like change your fucking name. Like you like basically like, you, like, look, like choose it. Right. Your Pope family tree is a wreath. Like, y'all, that's why there's Pope 7, 9, 10, 32, because they keep taking each other's names. Okay. And he's like, I'm handsome. I'm handsome. Look how old I am. You're reminds me of Hercules, Narcissus. You know what I mean? With
Narcissus, like,
yes.
That, okay. Little, like,
Right. But like, should he have been put on trial just for having a hot girl summer? I don't think so. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
So the reason why he was put in trial is because he bounced out after being Pope. Okay, after being the leader for a minute, he was only a Pope for 5 years. Okay, and then he died. Right. And right out of everyone that we just told you about who met violent, aggressive, pillow-related, wife-related deaths, this motherfucker just died. He just died, right? He was Pope for 5 years, had a great time, right? He threw some parties and was out. Well, for whatever reason, and we know the reasons, Stephen the Seventh, okay, the next Pope after him, the next one in line, he held a motherfucking grudge like you would not. This motherfucker was like, you know what? I couldn't get my lick back when you were alive, but now is my time. Okay, now is my time. He hated him. A historian literally called it, quote unquote, a near hysterical hatred of Formosus, which just tells me that he was ugly. Like Stephen VII was not cute. Like I'm sure Formosus' jawline was cutting glass.
You know what it's giving though? Like just as an ad lib, it's giving I'm in love with you. Just saying.
Right. It's enemies to lovers. It's I literally dug up from the grave because I was like, I can't live without you. Just kiss. Just kiss already. Okay.
Yeah.
He was he not only hated him so bad, but also, again, like Tanny mentioned, family dynasty. There were families around the town who had so much power, who basically were like whispering his ear, going, "You should definitely exhume him from the grave and like fuck him up." And he was like, amazing, perfect. The reason why Stephen VII cared so much about exhuming him from the grave wasn't just for the bit, even though, of course, everything I do is for the bit, everything I do is for the bit. The reason why he cared is because back then, at this time, the dead body of a holy person was more than just rotting flesh. It was transformed by death into a holy relic. Okay? So like your glow up as a pope as a pap smear was absolutely going to come after you PTFO, after you're out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you were more important once you were dead, kind of thing.
Right. Which is like the
honest
vibe, right? Period. But right to the point where in regular society, not just among the elites, these relics, okay, these people who were dead, these popes who were dead, were the center of religious life. Okay. Mm-hmm. Historian Lionel Rothkrug, you know what? Rothkrug, I love you so much.
Thank you, Lionel. Love you.
Thank you, Lionel. Love you. He wrote, quote, "Every church, every altar, every nobleman, every king, every monastery had relics, sometimes in great quantity. They were brought out to authenticate the work of justice." Hello, legal. Let's go. "They were carried out with the armies. They were borne in procession to encourage the drooping crops. They were instruments of state law and order, of personal well-being. They were weekend at Berniesing these corpses to the ground."
Like, so like, this is like there's crystal girlies and then there's like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And right, you're probably thinking, well, didn't Tanny say that he broke ground? Like, didn't he have to dig them up? The relics weren't necessarily like the literal corpses. They would just build shrines, right? It's a shrine. It's a cute shrine. Like you got a clock.
Yeah. Like Mary of Magdalena. Yeah, she's here. But
exactly, right? Like you have a crush in 7th grade. There were shrines. There were all that. And it was believed and it was just accepted in society that through these relics, through these shrines, these people, these popes, these saints continued to be members of the community. We remember them.
People were illiterate. People like believed that like their like lives and everything was like based on this doctrine that they're indoctrinated with, and they would pilgrim to these places. It was special. So
absolutely. It was a Jerusalem, but like everywhere. It was genuinely believed that popes and their relics and the place where they passed were holy, and they could go to those places and pray to them and remember what that all that. And Stephen VII was like, just shot on my watch is this mother with the cute face and the hard jawline.
And I probably was not out.
I was literally obsessed, barking in his DMs, like absolutely when he was alive.
He rejected me.
Right. The reason why Stephen took his body out of the grave, took his predecessor, Formosus, out of the grave, is because he knew that was important. It wasn't just because he was insane, which like of course he is, but like period. It was because that was important. So he propped him up.
Propped him up. And that was a big deal. Why? Because, again, like we've mentioned, the relics were the center of religious life. We then, like, he basically gets, like, just, like, swiped all over him. So everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. So, like, okay, we don't worship him anymore. And at the time, that was a big deal.
It had never happened before. I can tell you that. Yeah, it never happened to a pope before. And you know, there's no trial transcript. There were no court.
There's none.
There's no.
There is.
There's no iconic court transcript.
Yes.
Trial.
Only thing we have on record, which I argue may be under the Vatican, but like we're not allowed there, so who knows, is perjury, coveting the papacy, and violating church canons when he was elected pope. Please explain. No, you can't, because like that is the interpretive dancing of statutory interpretation.
Exactly. Those were the charges. Those were the charges, right? That our boy Stephen the Seventh, he quite literally, like when he was reigning over this trial, okay, he was judge. He was chief justice. He was on some chief justice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was chief justice. Stephen, like the current pope was like, I'm going to be the head.
Representative of God. He was God.
Exactly. He threatened a bunch of other random people in the community to serve as co-judges, which is hilarious and funny to me because you don't have to threaten me to want to be in someone's business. Like, I'd be like, I'll sit up there for free. Are you kidding? Just give me
nose plugs.
Give me like an hour.
Give me nose plugs in that mouth. And I'm in.
Give me nose plugs and a like a Febreze moment, and I'll be there. Like, I'll be there. I want to hear. So yeah,
a stained glass box. Yeah, I'll be there.
Exactly. So see, basically, Stephen, read out the charges. And he literally, like he said, was like, you're charged with perjury. The corpse. He's talking to the corpse.
He goes, are you guilty?
And
corpse.
Baby girl, like let's I'm gonna take you back down to earth for a sec. Like, period. And of course, the deacon, the poor teenage deacon, is just like standing there, like. Not like, you know what I mean? Like, what do I say? Like, how do I get out of this? And then also, Tanny, something happened. Literally, like, I'd be like, can I whatever. If I'm gonna go down, if I'm gonna go out, if someone's gonna hit me with an arrow because I represented a dead corpse pope in some dumb trial, at least I go down in history. Like, at least get my good side when you play my show.
This was like the first and the final time that this shit happened.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And as Tanny will tell you, something happened in the middle of this trial. Because you would think, like, oh, like, how is no one stopping this, right? Well, someone very important actually cast a vote in this trial. Like, someone was a co-judge. Someone was a co-judge that you actually wouldn't actually guess was a co-judge.
Wait, Tanny, I'm nervous because there were so many people in this bloody lie. Oh my goodness! In this court case, there were so many people in it that I'm nervous that I'm going to say the wrong one.
But no. It's actually one person. It's a 3-letter word, and it's gonna be after the charges. The red. Yeah. So someone very important in their lives did cast a vote from his bench upstairs on the trial.
Devil's advocate, God.
God, you're correct. God, you're correct. Yeah. So God
is Gryffindor.
Amazing. And tell me about it.
Real. 10 points for Slytherin. I want to be Slytherin.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. Okay. Oh my God.
Like, almost Ravenclaw, but like not quite. Like,
look at these nails.
Yeah, tattoos.
Anyway. I feel like like the sword necklace. Like it at first glance, you're like, maybe it's a cross, and I'm like, really, because it's giving like Adam and Eve, like snake, like the snake.
It's giving like Lilith, never Eve. Anyway, we'll get into that later on. But pretty much, what did they do? So he gets charged, pleads guilty, that poor little boy. And so what they do is they dress him in rags and they cut off 3 fingers. The reason they cut off the 3 fingers is because they were like the holy fingers, so that he would like... Sorry.
Wait, that...
Relax. Hold on. My brain just went somewhere and it shouldn't have gone there.
No, baby, we share the same brain. Mine went the same way. Imagine someone dead in the face and going, so your holy fingers, they're coming off. And you're like, so you're telling me that I get bitch. Like, so you're telling me that there are rumors.
So you're telling me Moses was the correct name for me? Oh, okay. Anywho, they were cut off. He was put in rags and then he was yeeted into the Tiber River. So yeah, he was yeeted. And then pretty much the Tiber River was the place that you just threw anyone you wanted, like, that was like irrelevant to society. You just put them there. And then they were erased from memory. It's like kind of like, it's kind of like being cancelled online.
Yeah,
exactly the same. Yeah.
That was the legal system back then. It was anyone who was a criminal, anyone who was like a leader who they didn't really like, and they threw out anyone who was someone who maybe like had some bad BO. They threw them in the Tiber River. It was like seen as like this like ancient like, this is your like sentence. This is happening. You're in the river. And what honestly would make it what would make it so funny is if the river literally, they were like, there you go, like, you're done forever. And the river like took a left turn eventually and just like ended up in a
like went back,
got up. You just literally got up, dried off, and walked over, like flipped a U-ing. We were like,
yeah, probably like had that many bodies, and it's like, oh, I wonder where the plague happened.
Right. Like, maybe we're drinking water out of this, but maybe we should separate. I don't know. Like, I don't really know.
Anywho, like, that's pretty much what happened. I feel like we're coming to an end, but the thing is that like for thousands of years, these bodies were put in this river. So like again, why did we get the plague? I don't know. Anyways, what happened to Stephen? That's what we want to know. Obviously, he was dead anyway. But what happened to Stephen after this shit show?
Well, Stephen, if you're talking about Stephen the Seventh, the guy who presided over this, so Stephen the Seventh, right, had his moment, had his flowers, had his gavel, okay, and in the middle of the trial, there was an earthquake apparently, and everyone like lost their shit because they were like, oh my God, this is God like casting his vote, and he was like, it's for me, and like, I don't know, maybe Jesus just has a sense of humor and was like, let me just like shoot a lightning bolt down there real quick and be like, this is hilarious, like you're propping this ass up, like what the fuck?
Well, like, our mother has a and she's like, you just like.
No, literally just like shaking, like literally like, haha, like y'all are so dumb. Like, look at all these men in a room fighting like about over a dead guy. Like, literally, what the right? Like, oh my God. Yeah. So basically, right. Okay. The irony of it all is that Formosus was thrown into this river 3 fingers down. No rags to riches, right? Like riches to rags, like dressed in shitty stuff, right? That slander him, whatever, thrown in this river. About half a mile down, a fisherman just like saw him and pulled him out and then brought him, was like, this is a body, that's crazy. Brought him back to like a place of a very like honored place of burial, like said some prayers, whatever. He was like back to his resting place, all that like whatever. Like it was literally just like shit show, right? But like the main thing is that part of his sentence was that Stephen the Seventh, part of his sentence was like, not only do you have 3 fingers are mine and you're going to be thrown in the river, but you have every single like commandment you've ever passed down since the time you were Pope in 5 years, everything you've ever done, everything that you write, like anything is now stripped and gone in reverse. It's like the equivalent of a Supreme Court justice, like any order or opinion they've ever been a part of is now reversed and gone and out. Like you're done.
Potentially also like the Uno reverse card.
Exactly. So Stephen the Seventh, all right, he unfortunately, he's a godly man, 100%, right? He is Catholic to his core. He's a pope. He's a pap smear. And after all this happens, unfortunately, he forgot to also believe in the power of karma, because immediately after he throws our boy with the good jawline in the river, his ass gets canned right the back. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because, and also, right, most of society at this time when they heard about this trial were like, that shit's insane. Like, it's the same thing as us being on Twitter being like, this shit's crazy. Like, what in the actual are these rich ass people doing? Like, these rich stupid ass people. Like, what the okay? So guess what happened to Stephen the Seventh? Stephen the Seventh was deposed. We already know what that term means. Amazing. He's forced to leave his position. He's forced to leave his position as Pope. Stripped of his Pope clothing, required, and this is so random that we know this. Like I'm like, why is this like an important fact?
Why is this
why is this right? They're like he was deposed, stripped of his Pope clothing, and required to dress as a monk. I'm like, okay, so like a cute new robe, fine. It's just a different color.
Game of Thrones, like shaved heads, like shame,
right? Like shame, exactly.
Identical.
Like, come on. He was imprisoned, and then sometime in August of that same year, he was strangled, because apparently that's an intimate, fun way to die, okay? And after Stephen the Seventh, obviously, like I said, okay, popes are flying through here. Like a 2 p.m. hurricane, like, right?
Chart is like,
look. Right after Stephen PTFO'd, strangly-dangly, Theodore II, okay, the next pope in line, was like, hi, I have different views. And he ordered that the body of Formosus, who was just yeeted into the Tiber River, now be reverentially reburied. He was brought back to St. Peter's Basilica. He had a whole new, he would basically, his conviction was overturned. It was gone away. Amazing, perfect, beautiful. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, this is amazing. It wasn't. For the next like 50 years, basically every time a pope died, which was, spoiler alert, often, these motherfuckers had a lifespan of a hamster, okay? They literally, every other pope was like, Formosus, or whatever his name is, jawline. We love jawline. We love jawline. Right? Jawline is somewhere in the 7th gate of hell, right? Absolutely. For being pope and colonizing a country and taking slaves, for sure, right? He's in the 7th layer of hell going, what the are y'all doing to me up there? Like, what in the he basically just kept getting his conviction reinstated and then taken away, reinstated, taken away, whatever.
It's essentially like, you can hate me, that's fine.
You can hate me, that's
yeah.
fine. That's fine. But like,
Shut
are
your
you
mouth.
done? Shut your mouth. Watch your mouth. Like, are we done yet? Like, are we done yet? To the point, like it got to the point. And honestly, honest to God, like side note, sidebar, whatever, like bonus ep, like material. If I were Jawline, okay, if I were this name that's super hard for me to remember because I'm too shots deep, Formosus. If I'm Formosus, okay, in hell, and I'm on like my third pope to have chat about me, positive or negative, I'm like, why are we about to kiss right now? Like, why are you so
like
obsessed with me? Like, literally, like, why?
what?
Like, you are, like, why are you gagged? Like, why are you literally gagged? Just, right, the next person, right, like, in line, like, it's called Sergius the Third. He went so far as to, like, overturn his conviction again, or no, reinstate his conviction, and then, like, it built a, like, big stone tablet, because that was, like, a thing back then, you know what I mean? Like, you love a stone tablet moment, you know what I mean? Whatever, like, essential workers, for sure, that literally basically had this whole monologue on it, like a big comment, right, on one of our videos from, like, an incel who's 16 from Reddit, right? Just typing his fingers away. Got a 1 in AP US history AP test, and you're like, oh my God, you wouldn't even know. Oh my God, wait, this is such American culture. I'm so sorry. Crossover. God, what is that? What is that? Right. So basically, he like writes like a monologue, like manifesto on this tablet, simply to say, Stephen the Seventh was so right for that. Formosus for real. Ugly men rise up. Like literally, like short jokers for sure. We're all together. Like it was literally the OG incel crowd, because I know Formosus. Like I know he got. Like there's no way that he didn't steal some wives. Like,
and there's no way that was not like passionately in love with him and just mad or whatever. And to like kind of, I guess, summarize, right? So we fast forward like 1,000 and something years to like where we are now, right?
Yeah.
The first time I went into the Vatican, okay, so
I've been too. So I totally know.
We probably have had a similar experience. I can just imagine. I walk into the Vatican. It's winter because I'm there to see the artifacts. I don't want Euro summer. I want winter. I walk in and there's this like kind of crowd. They're speaking Italian. I don't know what's happening. So I just like follow along. Turns out only people like brought into the papacy, they were like nuns and monks and stuff. I'm just following along. We go underground, we see all this stuff, and then there's this big board of popes, right? A whole bunch of them were just like big, like imagine like this big of like a cigarette this big. They were just burned. And that's why there's so many blacked out popes. Yeah. Because yeah, so like when you go to the Vatican, there's a list and faces, like little paintings of every single pope that has ever existed. And trust me, there was a lot. And it's like, on Harry Potter, how it's like the black family and how like people are like burnt out. Literally, they literally got that. She got that idea from them.
I'm driving at your reference. My immediate reference was giving like a yearbook, high school, like Mean Girls moment where you're like, this is so puppy slut. Yeah. And like that is so, look, say what you want about human history or human actions or human behavior. We are the same bitches. Like we are literally, we're talking shit about each other on the internet everywhere because that is the equivalent. Oh yeah, what did you do today? Oh, I burned Pope, whatever the I burned Pope Sergius's.
Yeah.
Portrait today. No way, it's gonna take them forever to repaint. I know they won't. They won't.
It's like you walk into any corporate office and the sales guys are like, oh, I just had sex and ate nachos. It's like Stephen was like, I just put the dead Pope on trial. Like
I said on trial. And you want to know what? He didn't look cute. He was a corpse. He was liquefied. He was liquefied and he was wet. And all the girls are like, wait, what?
I have a bad gag reflex.
Girly.
This has been the funniest of funniest. But let's leave it.
Let's chill. Let's not be friends. Let's be girl.
I love that's funny. Go you, Reb.
No, go follow Tanny. Everyone on my live. I went live for everyone who doesn't know. I went live during this. Everyone's on my live. Go follow Tanny. She's amazing. All our necklaces are from Caesar Archivum. Don't you have a deal running? What the is that about?
Oh, yeah. I use the code REB, for $20 off.
And you guys, anyone listening, like, she's not paying for this. I'm not paying for this. She sent me a care package and it made me sob.
Yeah.
It literally made me cry because she wrote me the loveliest note. The jewelry is so amazing and genuinely, like, and I'm such a cunt and a bitch. And her jewelry sucks. Even if I adored her, if her jewelry would turn green after day, right, like 2, I would just not say anything. I'd be like, yay, use code REB and then say nothing. I have swam, I have beached, I have sweat, I have done no proper care for this jewelry that it deserves for sure because it's stunning and beautiful in my ears. It's all in my ears and it looks as shiny and beautiful. And I'm so proud of you just because you have 85 different jobs. You're great at all of them. And I couldn't be more honored and proud and so stoked that we're matching.
I love it. I would match
you guys unintentionally.
Yeah, literally it just happened. But yeah, I'm hyperallergenic AF.
Yep.
Thanks Polynesian side, but yeah, we don't do fake advertising here, all right? Well, maybe
we're not.
Maybe nah. You know what? I'm not gonna go there.
For a fee, like for a price, like look, like for a price for a fee. Like if you see me with a BBL, like shut your mouth, like shut your.
But also, like I don't care. I'm like, guess what? I just got Botox.
Exactly. And I'll defend you to my death. Love you.
Love you so much. Thanks everyone for watching.
Love you guys.